Friends, we live in a world that was created quite recently. There are no millennia behind us. I think many of you who are listening to me have known this for a long time because we've probably been talking about this topic for about 10 years now. Here's what I wanted to tell you about this, about our world. Right now, there is a strange kind of politics happening, and many of you are puzzled. In which direction is Russia heading? And in which direction is the USA pulling? And in which direction is the UK pulling? It's like the fable. The crayfish pulls one way, the swan soars into the clouds, the pike drags toward the water, and the crayfish backs away. That's our life. That is, even back then, in those times. In the times of Krylov's fables, which were actually written by La Fontaine, not Krylov, and Krylov was merely the translator, yet we consider him a great Russian writer. So our life is governed by only one law, the law of the strong. By the way, this law is quite cynical. It's the law of the strong. So what? But what about being strong? And strength, my friends. Do you really think all these oligarchs are strong? Well, they go to clubs, work out, sometimes when they're young, but now nobody goes anymore. They're not strong, but they have a lot of money. With that money, they hire intelligence agencies, buy them off. The agencies give them information and eliminate those who get in their way, right? That's the law of the strong. He got the money, he has a lot of resources, so the law of the strong is in effect. As for our world, of course, is run by specific people, and we know from the bottom up, our bottom is the president. What's above the president? They don't report that to us because we're just sheep. We're the sheep who are being controlled. No, do you want to say that you're not a sheep? Well, then go live alone. You can live in a hut out in the taiga. Then maybe you won't be controlled. Take Agafya Likova as an example. Her whole family survived out there. During the war, they went there, or in the 1930s, they went into the taiga. They kept moving farther and farther away from people. People found them. As a result, they were all shot, everyone was killed, and only Agafya was left, who keeps silent like no one knows who. And now she also has breast cancer. Whether she is still alive today, we don't know. Because some oligarch decided to settle near her, they brought a log house there for her. Basically, her life has become entertaining for the media, but not for herself. That's our life. So, for example, using Agafya Likova as an example, of course, they showed that none of you will be allowed to live the way you want to. I hope I'm explaining this clearly. And now we have some dilemmas in the distribution of politics. Somewhere Trump is taking over Venezuela and judging Maduro. But the viewers are shouting, he has no right, that's another country. Well, who told you he has no right? That's what was imposed on you. You were always told stories about who has the right and who doesn't. But essentially, the one who is strong has the right. Isn't that so? Huh? Or is it not like that? Well, the American is strong, and now it's not even him anymore, but a suit running around instead of him. It doesn't matter. The American is strong. Who else? Putin is strong. He has the right to plunder Russia. Does he? Turns out he does. No matter how cynical that sounds. But cynical for whom? For the peoples they consider herds, their own herds. The Bibles were written for you for this purpose. So that you know you are a sheep who can be made into a sacrificial fire. Yes, offered as a sacrifice. And you are being taught, eat blood and drink. Actually, drink my blood and eat my flesh. They teach cannibalism. Well, yes, few people get it. They truly believe that this is exactly how it should be. To eat flesh and drink blood. Well, this is what they call vampires. And now they are actively telling you about this, that you too should become vampires. Doesn't that bother anyone? No, of course not. How could that bother anyone? You have to fight for the truth. But what truth are you going to fight for? Tell me. You, each one of you. This is what I suggest to reasonable people. There's a question. Take it and write it down on paper. Describe it yourself. Who do you stand for? What truth do you stand for? And then sit down and think about what you wrote on that paper, what you put down. And you'll see that you're a complete fool. What you wrote might be suitable for a teenager, those who fight for some kind of truth, and who were also burned for that same truth in some ridiculous club, bar, right? So, before you start fighting for someone or standing up for someone, for some politicians who supposedly care about the people, always think first, write it down. Write it down just for yourself. And not later, like some of my listeners here. We didn't vote for Zelensky. We voted against Poroshenko. Well, you really couldn't have said anything more foolish to yourself. But the stupidity is off the charts, and they just didn't want to vote for Poroshenko. That's why they voted for this little guy, the one who's rubber instead of the real thing. And so, yes, they voted for him. And this is what they call not voting for him. What I want to say is that the foolishness of the people lies within yourselves. And if you never want to think, I always urge you, learn. No, you don't need to learn how to trade currency. You won't be able to do it anyway. You don't need to learn how to build constructors. You simply don't have it in you. You don't need to learn how to do business. If your mind works differently, it will never reach the level of a businessman who can do that. You don't need to learn that. You need to educate yourself in terms of philosophy and politics. You need to understand your world. And if your world is like this, and we still have Machiavelli, he told about this. What is our world like? Have you read Machiavelli? Read it? Well, probably because I studied at university, we had to read it. You should read it. Look if it's not clear. So this is not your book. Then pick something simpler. Take Grigory Klimov, for example. He talks about this too. Grigory Klimov is a pseudonym. What is his real name? Tell us. Maybe you remember Klimov's real name? He has already passed away. He lived in America, in the United States. There are many resources for education. You keep saying, Tanya, tell me what to read. Yes, there are plenty of books all around. Go online, read whatever you want to read. Educate yourself in the way that you can, in the way your inner self tells you to. Everyone has a different level of education. That's why we need to understand that life isn't the way it's presented to us. This is the only thing I want to get across to you in every video. There is no politics at all. There is a conspiracy of oligarchs who control both Putin and Trump, who control China, and who else? Even London is under their control. Well, they say that we all obeyed, yes. Literally, the last century was under the rule of Queen Elizabeth. This century will be under the rule of China. Well, there is such a country. Yes, the Celestial Empire China. This was supposedly announced in some kind of will in 2018. I first started telling you about this will back in, I think, 2016. That's when I began to talk to you about it. Then the Gravet will was picked up. Yes, which Gravet? Friends, what does Gravet have to do with this? Well, in general, there is supposedly a will according to which it's not a will, it's a message. From up there, from the top of the pyramid to those who control you. That's why China is now coming out on top. The United States is the hands of China. And as for the former Soviet Union,